All right, what is up, everybody? This is Stevie Breach coming to you here. We're going to be talking about the upcoming men's Money in the Bank ladder match for the Money in the Bank 2018 show. This is going to be a really big one because of the fact that this is a pretty slam-jacked match. It's going to be going up for the pay-per-view here. Everybody wants a shot to go after Brock Lesnar and that WWE Universal Championship that he's had basically for so long. There was rumors out there that Brock was going to be defending against Roman Reigns on this show, but it ends up Brock is not booked. And Roman didn't even get a chance to go after the Money in the Bank briefcase. So I don't really know what the plans are for that. But basically, somebody in here is going to be having that briefcase that anytime Brock ever decides to show up and be in the building, whether that's for Monday Night Raw or for an upcoming pay-per-view, if there is a chance, they can come running out and become the guy to take that belt off him and in that streak that, as of right now, I think is going to pass CM Punk's record. Some people are debating that they're different belts and that it doesn't matter how long it is. CM Punk's record is going to stay. To me, I'm always going to go with it breaks the streak and CM Punk's little run from Survivor Series until when the heck did he drop that belt? The Royal Rumble. That streak's going to go away. This match is filled with guys from Samoa Joe, Kevin Owens, Bobby Roode, Braun Strowman, The Miz, Rusev, Finn Balor, and one member of the New Day. Honestly, in my opinion, minus probably Rusev and minus the member of the New Day, I can see the other names in here, even Bobby Roode, becoming that guy. Maybe not Bobby Roode beating Brock Lesnar, but I can see these guys holding the championship and being the Universal Champion of Monday Night Raw, and getting that push to become the main guy there. Honestly, I think for people that saw my last video about this match, I still have heavy feelings about Finn Balor being the guy to take that belt and basically go on the run that we were supposed to see after SummerSlam 2 years ago before he got injured in that match against Seth Rollins. Samoa Joe, the way that he got into this match basically by beating Daniel Bryan and Big Cass on SmackDown, that was some sort of shady, sneaky tactics. One of my good buddies, Vic, he ended up going to that show because of the fact that they were pushing the match is going to be Samoa Joe versus Daniel Bryan. That's the one reason that he bought a ticket. That's the one reason that he went there, and they ended up switching it up on him, Adam Big Cass the match, and his heart was broke. Obviously, Daniel Bryan versus Big Cass is probably going to be a match that is going to be added to the card. We all sort of thought that the Big Cass injury was a little bit of a work in the first place. So now for that to be added onto the card, I don't think a lot of people are really fired up about it. But at the same time, I'm not Daniel Bryan's doctor. I'm not Daniel Bryan's wife. I'm not even related to the guy. But honestly, as a WWE fan, I was kind of skeptical about them putting him into a ladder match to begin with, just because of the chances of him getting hurt. Something happened to him where he would get banged up. And I don't want to see that day come. I want to enjoy Daniel Bryan wrestle for as long as I can. By them putting him in safe situations, I'll take that any day over, just the chance of seeing him wrestle in one Money in the Bank match. I know that we've seen him do just about all of his moves. We even saw him jump off the top rope on SmackDown, but I'm not really excited to see him, going around with the ladders that just could bump him on the top of the head, in my mind. Kevin Owens. I know that Sami Zayn is going to have his hands full with Bobby Lashley on the Money in the Bank card. We can all hope that Bobby Lashley squashes Sami Zayn, but anytime you see Owens in a match, you got to be thinking that Sami's going to be somewhere close to it. Honestly, Bobby Lashley is a guy that I think would have been helped out by being put into this match in the first place. I'm not trying to say that the Monday Night Raw thing with Sami Zayn and him, where they brought out the sisters, killed them or anything like that. I think that honestly Bobby Lashley was killed in my mind before that even happened. Since debuting or returning to WWE, I apologize, Zach. They really haven't done anything big with him to the point where I've even cared about him, and it just sort of faded away. I know that Lashley was involved in the Money in the Bank. I can't remember. It was at WrestleMania, and he was good in that match, and he could have came in. I know you've got big guys in here like Braun Strowman. You've got Rusev. I know that you don't try to fill up all of the spots with the big guys to make the catches and things like that, but he at least could have been put in a spot where he was able to squash everybody even for a few minutes and made it look really, really big. But Owens, I think, is always going to have Sammy in his back pocket. This will probably end up being the Money in the Bank main event. So maybe he can make a return by the end of the night, even if he gets killed by Lashley early on in the show. So that's going to be some help to go along with him. Bobby Roode, a guy that I think needs to have probably a heel turn. I am honestly going to say that I am one of the people who did enjoy the whole conga line, I guess you can say, with No Way Jose on the last pay-per-view, even though nothing really happened and it took up a whole bunch of time. But Roode at the end of it probably didn't help him at all. And I think we're all waiting to see him have that heel turn where we can see him take his character to the next level. Strowman is a guy that I think could run buck wild in this match. I don't see him winning this match. I know that he just won the world's greatest Royal Rumble over there in Saudi Arabia. I don't think that he's going to win this for the fact that I think that if he's going to beat Brock Lesnar, I think he's going to beat Brock Lesnar in a one-on-one match. They've been building this guy up to be a main event guy that people love. I don't see them using sort of a sneaky tactic of him using the Money in the Bank briefcase that once Brock has already beat down, that he cashes it in. I don't even see them doing a one-on-one match of Brock versus Braun Strowman, where basically Braun and Brock have a really good match. Brock ends up getting the win, and then basically Braun cashes in after the match is over for like a second chance, like having a two falls match, I guess you can say. I don't really even see that happening. If he's gonna get the win, I think he's just gonna beat him, and that's just how they're gonna do it. Miz is a guy that I could see getting the Money in the Bank briefcase, sneaking up from behind after a Braun Strowman versus Brock match and just picking up the pieces. A lot like when Miz was the Money in the Bank guy and he cashed in on Randy Orton during a Randy Orton versus Wade Barrett match, where basically the Nexus was chased away, and it just left Miz in the middle of the ring with Randy, who was already beaten up by 7 guys, and Miz just picked up the pieces for the skull crashing finale. He ended up holding the belt from basically Survivor Series all the way until WrestleMania. Even though that doesn't sound like one hell of a run, it was really good. And I know that I was just getting back into wrestling in 2010, but I honestly thought that Miz was a really good champion, and would love to see him with the belt after all the work that he's put in with that Intercontinental title for the last few years. And people can say they love the guy, people can say they hate the guy, but the one thing is that everyone's always paying attention to the Miz, no matter what they say about him. Rusev, I think, is a guy that is rebuilding his character, but I don't think they have really any faith in the guy to really push him any farther than he already is right now, so I don't see him as a factor as anything that's going to happen in this match. Finn Balor, to me, is that guy in the back pocket that could be the main event #1 guy in the company. We have not seen the Demon in a while. The Demon has been, itching to come out of Finn Balor, I guess you could say. Balor is a guy that I think that honestly would really help if he got a program where he could go after the championship and was unable to win it, and then we just basically saw Finn Balor snap. I don't want to see Finn Balor snap where he basically attacks like an announcer or a referee. But think of like the Chris Jericho heel turn in WCW, where basically he kept losing matches and then he would attack Dave Penzer. And he would come out week after week and apologize to Penzer. He would give him a new suit. He would replace it. But he just kept on, beating him up until he finally snapped. And at that point where Balor would snap, the Demon would reemerge. I don't want to see the Demon wrestle each and every week on Monday Night Raw. I think they need to keep it special where he does wrestle on pay-per-views. And I don't want them to take away Finn Balor matches from us, because I think he is one of the main reasons that I'm sticking around in WWE. But we need to see that demon emerge. That's what makes him special. Obviously, WWE still has plans for it because they keep, putting the demon on, kids' t-shirts and kids' backpacks. They keep releasing figures. So there is some sort of a plan for that demon to reemerge someday. I think they're just waiting for the right time. And him having the Money in the Bank briefcase, having that in his back pocket, I think would be something really, really good for the Finn Balor character. I think that he is going to be one of the main guys in WWE. We need to see that come to fruition sooner than later. When it comes to the New Day, I love these guys. I keep saying that I think it's time for these guys to break up. I'm guessing that most people are going to be hoping that Kofi Kingston is added to this match. He, a lot like Shelton Benjamin, has been, one of the constant factors in Money in the Bank matches that always has one spot to make the match really, really fun, whether that's, I think, the 2010 or maybe 2011 match when he jumped off that huge ladder, taking out Drew McIntyre, shoot, I can't think of really any other spots. I can honestly tell you that I'm hoping that it's not Kofi, but Biggie Langston. I've always put it out there that Biggie Langston is a guy that I'm a really big fan of. They had plans for this guy just a few years ago in 2013 to be a big star. We saw him teaming with CM Punk. We saw him teaming with John Cena. And slowly that just sort of faded away, that Intercontinental title run. And he was lucky to get caught up where he got put into the New Day thing, where he's been featured and people get to really see him a lot. But I don't think we've really got to see Biggie Langston as a one-on-one competitor. I'm hoping that we get to see that again sooner than later. I keep hoping that in one of the brand splits, somebody would get moved to a different brand. Even if it is Kofi, and then Biggie Langston and Xavier Woods just became a normal fixture on the tag team circuit, where there'd be two guys, and we get to see him featured more that way, instead of them in this three-way team. But I'm guessing that it's either going to be Big E or Kofi. Even though I'm saying that I'm a huge fan, I would put my money on Kofi to be the guy in there, but there's no way that they're getting the briefcase. It could be entertaining, but to me that's sort of like some I guess you can say TNA stuff, where the three-man group has the briefcase and they're teaming. You never know who's going to be the one that's going to use it. They could go on to a program. It's not going to happen with Brock Lesnar, but if there was a different champion, where basically they could do singles matches on Monday Night Raw, where you could say basically it's Biggie Langston against the champion, and then after the match is over, you could be teasing that Xavier Woods or Kofi Kingston would be the guy to cash it in, and maybe that could lead to what the breakup of the New Day is going to be, where basically they're fighting over that briefcase, and there's somebody cashes it in, it doesn't work, and then there's blame, and that's how you build off of it from there. So maybe I'm looking ahead too far. I think that the New Day has been around for a while. I'm not sure that they're going away anytime soon, but you always got to be wondering how it is going to end, and if they're going to end it before it really, really gets stale. So we'll see what goes down with that. I think it's going to be a good show. If I had to put my money on it as of right now, I think that, Samoa Joe looked really cool holding that briefcase. You got to be keeping him in your mind. But I got my money on Balor. I think that Balor is going to be the guy who wins it, and I think it's going to be a good show. I'm looking forward to this one, looking forward to the women's one, and we'll see what goes down with this at Money in the Bank 2018.